Start streaming. Oh, okay. It looks like I am live now, potentially. Yes, I am live. Okay. I think.
Live.
We're live now. We went live a minute early as I was trying to set it up.
Okay. Well, I'm still cooking.
Well,
Should I just ignore it for
yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Well, should I put the raw meat away?
Yeah, go put the raw meat
Okay,
away.
I was looking for scissors. I can't find it. We have something in the blender and then something in the pressure cooker.
Alright, it'll be fine. It's just rice, right? So, Kyle Depew is going to be on here with us.
Nice.
So, I don't know if... I think we might have talked about it when we were on your show. Kyle is staying with me for 2 months, training in preparation for IFA Worlds.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's luckily in a position where he'll be able to take time off of work. So no work, no distractions, just training every single day for 2 months straight.
You guys are going to get strong.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He got here Friday. We rested the weekend because he's dealing with some injuries, and now we're in full training mode. So today was day one, which is why I was running a little behind, and now the stream looks a little odd, but we'll
So
work
what?
with it, right?
So what is your guys' plan? Do you have a big plan in place?
Plan as far as a training style?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest plan right now for training style is gym 7 days a week and arm wrestling 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. So have you ever talked to Krasimir about his style of training?
I haven't talked to Krazy, but I talked to Bojdar actually earlier today.
Mm-hmm. Do they run the same program?
Well, the way Bojdar was explaining was just generally speaking the incredible amount of training they do, right? We're talking 2 to 3 times a day, sparring every single day, and really, really trying to train on a different type of level.
Right. So the way that Krasimir does it is it's, and I'm not doing exactly what he's doing, but I'm basing it kind of off of what we've talked about. He arm wrestles like 2 to 3 times a day for 3-hour sessions each time. So he's arm wrestling like literally all day long, and he trains a few certain movements. So I'm just guessing because I don't know exactly what he's doing for Vitali, but I'm assuming for Vitali he will train like his cup, his side pressure, and maybe his riser. So he'll just do like hard isometrics training in those 3 directions and cycle that. So I'm kind of taking that and applying it a little bit different because I want to include a little bit more gym lifting.
And we're trying not to train me too hard.
Yeah, we don't want to go overboard because Kyle's still dealing with some injuries. So
Kyle, how long have you been going for? I feel like I saw you a year ago, and you were definitely smaller than you are now. Are you
100%.
like on the game train here?
Yeah, well, do you want me to give you like a quick rundown of my history?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I came into the sport in 2014, pulling in the amateur class. My dad was the #1 student of Alan Fisher for like 5 years before I even met Alan Fisher. People put a lot of pressure on my dad to be like this big elite arm wrestler. He never really became elite by any means. He's very good now, but at the time, he was, after the 5 years, not quite where people expected him to be. I meet Alan Fisher. I ended up being pretty good naturally, just with my athletic background and strength and flexibility. And for whatever reason, I was taking the criticism and developing the technical ability at a quick rate for being 14, I would say. And very quickly, a lot of people saw me as like the up-and-comer for North America at that age.
Nice.
I was getting pretty well-known locally. I would say very well-known locally, and then decently well-known across the country. But it wasn't like I was doing anything big. I was just competing in amateur competitions, getting to work with a lot of world champions. San Diego has a few world champions, and I would train with them consistently. Literally, like my first month in the practice, I trained with Devin Lorette, just so many people. So I had a lot of potential coming into the sport, but I had a very rough few years trying to prove dominance, just because I was young, and all the amateurs that compete in California at the time were guys that had pulled most of them had pulled for 10 plus years.
Still
I'm
pulling
going up
AMs.
against a
They're
high,
still pulling AMs. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
I was going up
Jesus.
against a very high competitive level of amateurs, which motivated me because I took 2.5 years away from the sport, and it motivated me, along with Derek Smith reassuring me to just jump out of the amateurs. Plus, Chance was also on board with this. They didn't want me pulling amateurs, even though I'd never really proved much in the amateurs. I had won a singular world amateur title in an event that was pretty well known for years, but
The
not quite.
Petaluma one, right?
What's that?
The Petaluma one?
Yeah, well, it was in. It's traditionally in. I can't think of where it's at right now, but it's a
In
big,
California.
Yes, a
Yeah.
big world championship in California. Not quite what it used to be, but for the 80s to the early 2000s, people traveled all over the world for it. So it still had some relevancy, but doesn't mean quite much. So that was my only amateur accomplishment. But I ended up jumping into the pros in 2020.
Florida State Championship?
Florida State Championships.
Yeah, December
Those-
2020.
That was
when you came to Florida.
Yeah, so I consider that the beginning of my pro career, if you will. And I mainly did that because of Chance and Derek and others telling me it would have not been fair for me to pull amateurs at this point, just because of my skill level. My strength and skill were both relatively the same. I didn't feel like I was strength dominant or skill dominant at the time. And I did decent at Florida State's for the pro class. I got 4th place, which wasn't too bad. But then I did a couple super matches, won all of those, and then got 4th place in Kansas City on my right arm in the stacked like 27, 28 man class. And I didn't pull left arm in that tournament just because I was dealing with an elbow injury.
Which you're still dealing with. But
Yeah.
back to your original question was his weight. When I met Kyle, like 6 years ago, he was like 250 at 16.
So when you had met me
No
in
kidding.
particular,
Yeah.
I had cut to 205 from 230. But pretty much right after you left California, I shot up to 260 pounds
Yeah.
pretty quickly.
And then you became vegan. You got all the way down to like 140.
No. So actually, I became vegan I got down to 140 doing firefighter training. Low calorie most of the time just because I was constantly doing calisthenics and going to fire academy type training sessions. It just naturally happened that way. Got down to 180 and then got down to 140 through a lot of running because at the time I was trying to prep for the fire academy. And then I was 145, sorry. I started a vegetarian diet. I instantly started gaining a lot of muscle, strength, better endurance. So it worked very well for me at the time. And then around 170, I went vegan. And then I was vegan, 210 pounds, fairly lean, doing well. And then I started running into nutritional issues. Just because it had been 2.5 years at that point, maybe on a vegetarian/vegan diet. And I started to deplete my some nutrient markers for sure.
Yeah.
Just I didn't do everything the right way.
So now part of the training camp while he's here is getting him properly eating and eating all the nutrition he needs to, including meat, lots of meat and carbs to try to put some weight on him.
So what's the weight goal for IFAs then?
That's actually up in the air. I'll say that currently Chance wants me to do 209. Originally, when I came out here, the goal was 170. So we've shifted the goal, and it very well could shift again, but most likely 209.
I
So
personally believe 209 is the right weight for Kyle. 172 is just too light. 190 might be appropriate, but in between now and then, so not to jump too far ahead because I do want to touch on it later, but during the event where I have the round robin with Don Underwood, Mike Aiello, Jordan Sill, Kyle is going to have a super match against Levi Prince. I don't know if you know who that is or not.
Not a lot, but
Okay.
I've definitely heard of him
So
before.
I pulled with him in Oklahoma. If you watch my Oklahoma video, he's the guy I had a little super match with, practice match with.
Sure,
So
gotcha.
he's like 350 plus pounds, just a really large guy. So we're bulking Kyle up a little bit to face someone of that stature.
Yeah,
Right?
nice.
So yeah,
Great.
Currently the the goal is get him big, pull that, and then determine from that point where his weight needs to get. And as someone who's bulking, it's nice to be eating with someone else who's bulking, because I'm trying so hard to hit 300 pounds, John. You
Yeah?
wouldn't believe it. So yesterday, it was after we ate brunch, but I stepped on the scale, 297.
Ooh, it's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. I'm coming in so strong for that round robin. I'm
Oh,
coming in
that's going to
so
be good,
strong.
man. How much time do you got for that?
So that's July 10th.
July 10th. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's
That's myself, Don Underwood, Mike Aiello, Jordan Sill. It's going to be interesting.
Ooh. And was that decided yet? Is that like it's just going to be straight round robin? It's not like super match versus super match and then move on?
We haven't been given any details, right?
Okay.
Hopefully it's a generic round robin.
Yeah.
We don't see very many of those, so I would like to see one of those, because usually in a real true round robin of the sort, one person will get an ideal bracket throughout the rounds.
Mhm.
One person usually has more time to rest for matches, while the other might have slightly less. And then one person might have the worst. They might pull the very first round immediately in round one, and then have to pull almost immediately again in round two, just because of the random generation of brackets.
Yeah.
So there's usually one person that'll have the ideal set up for all 4 rounds, or sorry, is it only 3 rounds in a 4-man round robin?
Yeah, it'd be 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
Yeah,
One
I think
person-
so.
Honestly,
Yeah.
when it's only
However-
when it's only 3 rounds, you can't really say endurance is a big factor there. You could if someone gets into a battle, but for the most part, one person might have what I would consider an ideal bracket setup throughout the round robin.
Yeah. Yeah, but to answer your question, I don't know if it's going to be a super match like best of 3 or best of 5, and then we move on. I don't know if it's going to be like a mini tournament style super match like they did in the WAL when they had their 4-man. I don't know if it's just going to be 1 round and rotate. We haven't really discussed details. It was kind of a last minute thing. After I beat Don Underwood in Michigan State's, he suggested, why don't we just make it a 3-man round robin? Me, him, and Mike. And I talked to Paul Italia, the promoter, and Paul was like, well, let's make it a 4-man so it's a little bit more even. So all I know is Jordan Sill and myself are pulling first, and Mike and Don are pulling first. I don't know who's going first out of those two, but then from there it goes random.
Mike and Don.
Right.
Mike and Don are pulling first, and me and Jordan.
That's
Which
cool.
I love that draw. Like, that's perfect for
That
me.
sounds really
Yeah.
good.
Well, I think since you and Jordan have a little bit of history there, I think a lot of people want to see you guys clash together again. So having it fresh for fresh right off the bat, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
The only issue is that I think fresh for fresh, it's absolutely no different, just because of their styles. Chances.
Yeah, well, that's the-
starting out, and in the straps, he's proved to have not just a little bit of dominance, but pretty much complete dominance against Jordan Still in the straps.
Yeah. But
Circumstances have mattered.
right.
It's
But
been on in a tournament bracket when usually they're deep into the tournament, so it could vary.
one thing that's really cool about the round robin is it's so many varying styles, though. Like, I think Jordan Sill has the tools to beat Mike Aiello.
I agree.
I think Mike Aiello beats Don Underwood. And I think Don beats Jordan off of speed. So it kind of it creates a really interesting round robin. I think all it takes is one of us to win 2 matches, and that person's probably going to win the whole thing. I don't think any of us have to come out 3-0.
Right.
But I do plan on coming out 3-0. I'll just
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
What's
I
your
like
prediction
that.
on that?
At this point in time, it's really hard to bet against you because we've kind of seen, like, just 2 weeks ago, we saw you against Don, right? And then you were against Jordan within the last, 2 months? Maybe was that 2 months, 3
That
months
would've
ago?
been-
Twice in the last 3 or 4 months.
So I pulled him
Yeah.
twice in Kansas City, which was about 2 months ago. Three
Yeah.
3 months ago, and then I pulled him once in Texas, which was 1 month ago. May 1st, so
Yeah.
a month and a half. Yeah.
You've pulled Mike before. Have you pulled Mike
I've
before?
never pulled Mike.
That'll
No,
be
that's right. You
interesting.
never pulled Mike.
You just don't know, right? Going
You
special.
don't know, and Mike is one of those guys where it's like he's just annoyingly strong pretty much everywhere. If he gets you anywhere inside, it's going to be a tough day, no matter who
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm going with Chance Shop. Oh, with Tugboat.
Yeah,
That's what I would go with. I haven't. I don't know, man. Every time I see you pull, like I don't want to blow you too hard, but every time I see, it's just it happens a lot easier than I think it's going to happen. When you went against Dawn, I didn't expect it to happen really the way it happened, and it was just very rather dominant and rather impressive, and you just were aggressive and I mean I don't know what else I could really want out of that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I do believe, I'm just putting it out there, I think whoever comes out, if any of us come out clean, we deserve a match to the next level, right? Jerry, Michael, Devin, Tim Bresnan, Todd Hutchins, one of those five. Whoever wins that, I think needs a match set up with one of those five pullers.
Yeah, and then once you get to that level, I feel like that's a money match, right? That's got to be at a WAL or an Arm Wars or some kind of event that's got a presence to it, or Dubai for that matter.
Be on the second Dubai card.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens out of it, but I'm excited for the future because I do plan on coming out cleanly. I don't know if I'm going to pull afterwards because I don't think I'll come out that cleanly. I don't want to win the whole thing and then lose to someone like Rush Schrader or Eric Gerlach, who are capable of beating a tired version of any of us, maybe even a fresh version. So I probably won't chance it. Gary's in here. What's up, Arm TV?
Gary Roberts.
Speaking of which, did you watch his Ruler of the Nation event?
I did.
What did you think?
So, I've only seen it. I saw it live, and then I saw part of the edited version from Motivational Arm Wrestling, Pavlo's kid.
Yep.
I thought if you can clear your mind of what you expect about arm wrestling, you can clear your mind and understand that this was an attempt to do something a little different, something with a different format, something that isn't gonna really fit in with the classic idea of what modern arm wrestling is. I actually quite enjoyed it. I think the fact that they had Wayne Withers and Doug Allen and Chris Gellings was in there and Brent Rockers and Pavlo.
Yep. Those were your top five.
It was a weird. It was much more interesting than I anticipated it was going to be.
Me too.
And I think it will get better once people start catching on to the dynamic of it. Because you also had those the reroll coins where you can redo the match with your coin one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris Gellings was going against Brett Rockers. Rockers beats him. He slaps his coin down on the table. That match gets erased from history, and then they do a rematch. And I think Chris beat him on the rematch of it.
I still haven't seen it. I saw the highlights of it, but I haven't actually watched the whole thing yet. I'll need to watch it very soon.
It's very interesting to me that Wayne Withers took 5th place.
Yeah, just on the surface.
Doug Allen took 4th, Gellings 3rd, Rockers 2nd, and Pavlo 1st. I predicted Pavlo to win, but I would have never predicted Wayne to take 5th place out of those 5 guys.
Yeah.
And then, there was 4 or 5 other guys in it, but those were really the 5 that mattered.
There was a big weight discrepancy at one point. But the question is, did Wayne get 5th because of the endurance factor, or did he get 5th because he kept on getting put into the power lock?
Yeah.
He had to start in a hook all the time.
Maybe it's hard to know. I haven't talked to Wayne about it.
Yeah.
But I want to say it seemed like from what I watched, my prediction was true, and an arm wrestler that wanted the strap still got the strap just fine.
I would agree with that. I would agree. I talked to Gary a little bit about it yesterday on stream, but we'll probably get into it more tomorrow night, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. It did seem like putting on the Velcro strap saved a little bit of putting the strap on time.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think there was still that rigmarole of fighting for this. And then there was a whole different fight for the better position in the hook, which is something we never see because that never happens, right?
Oh.
But guys were they were fighting to get supinated, and then they were fighting with the cup angle, and so that opens up a whole other category of strategy that we simply haven't had to deal with
Yeah.
because nobody's done that for 30 years.
No one has. And it played to people like Brent Rackers, who his style of top roll can start here and just roll through. So it didn't necessarily prevent top roll, but it created a situation where, like you said, pullers had to fight for things that they usually don't have to fight for, which made it really interesting.
That, I think, is, Gary takes a lot of flack, but I think that's part of the beauty of Gary, the way Gary operates, right? Yeah. It's all this weirdness, but then once you see it, you're like, okay, all right. Like I think we're still a little ways away from where the end point of it is going to be, but I get it. I definitely get it now. I get it more than I did before I saw it in action.
Well, like you said, just take it as its own separate event. It's entertaining. It's really entertaining. It makes for really cool matches, especially when there's no weight class, because had there been an elite lighter weight guy, he could have maybe tossed it up with those guys if he had great endurance. Someone like Jeff Hale,
or if he can put a coin down and have to redo a close match, that could absolutely change everything.
Yeah. So I really like the idea. I'm excited to see how it turns out in the future. I hope Gary continues to do it.
Yeah, it could be an interesting part of our sport.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to go try it out.
Yeah.
It was just bad timing for me. Did you see the event in Oregon? I think it was in Oregon. Jody Williams event.
Yep, I saw a few highlights. I saw a few highlights of the super matches, but I didn't see any
Nano's
of the
channel?
actual tournament. What's that?
On Nano's channel, that video.
I just got sent a bunch of clips from people.
Okay.
There was like 3 or 4 people that sent me just some super match clips, so I haven't seen any of the actual official video yet.
Okay, I didn't watch the tournament, but I watched the super matches earlier on Nano's channel. Those were some good matches. I forget the gentleman's name, but he got a win on Robbie Topi left-handed.
I saw that Robbie Topi ended up like 5th place or something. I did see I saw the results actually because I'm on one of the rankings boards. Yeah,
wow.
And people were like, "What happened? What happened here?" Because Robbie was in 5th place. So I don't know if there was an injury maybe or I don't know what happened.
Because he ended up winning his match 3-1. But that's even more interesting if he took 5th place because that throws a wrench in rankings. You're on a rankings board, so you understand. Now I have to go look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually have the results.
We would have probably watched that live or something.
Yeah.
So left hand 243 plus was Abo Rekishvili, Josh Heck, Bert Carrillo, and then Robbie Topi. So he got 4th place.
Well, okay, so Abo beat Robbie last time they pulled.
Not too crazy then.
He didn't look too good in what was the event Derek just went to? The Hawthorne event?
Abo didn't look too good.
Abo didn't look too good at the Hawthorne event.
Derek beat Abo. How did Abo do against Robbie in that tournament initially?
They didn't pull.
Oh, so they never pulled left-handed in that tournament?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because Derek and Robbie pulled in that tournament. I watched that one live.
But Abo said he was dealing with some health issues. He just got out of the hospital yesterday.
Okay.
You know, it's hard for me to know what's true and what's an excuse. Yeah. But let's say he was telling the truth, so maybe that was the strong version of Abo. So Abo winning doesn't surprise me that much, but Robbie taking 4th is very... And it was to who?
Hold on one second. That was to Josh Heck got 2nd.
Josh Heck.
Bert Carrillo got 3rd.
I'm not even familiar with those two.
Yeah, neither am I. Yeah. So,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll have to talk to Robbie about what happened. Because, I mean, there were some other good matches on there. Bruce Willis won his match 3-0. Jody Williams won his match 3-0.
Yep. Saw that one, yeah.
There were some good matches, but most interesting to me was Robbie.
Yeah.
Losing one match.
Well, it's so rare. With his left is so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, the only person really he's taken 2 losses recently. Well,
Cody?
3. No, 2. Yeah, 2. Cody and Abo. Because he beat Derek, right?
Yes, but barely, right? Like, it was somewhat of a good.
Yeah,
match.
it was a bit of a
Derek
match.
Derek could have won that, but didn't.
Yeah. So Cody is the only person that's beating him consistently, and that's Robbie's the number 1 in North America, debatably.
When you think of the Western region, Robbie's like the guy left-handed. Isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe Tom Nelson is training it hard.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I would also add. That if Tom Nelson comes in good form, but Tom Nelson I think took a loss to Robbie left-handed, like in his last performance.
Their last
time
super
Tom
match.
was
They had a
competing,
super match like
he lost
2
to
years
Robbie,
ago.
and then I think beat Robbie on the right arm.
Okay.
But this was a while ago.
So,
Yeah.
speaking of the West Coast events, have you seen Kyle's event that's coming up, King of California?
Oh, I have seen a little bit about that.
Yeah, that'll be my promoter debut.
Nice. What's the score with that? What all you guys doing there?
It's just going to be super matches. I'll have a lot of things going on that day for the event, like a raffle, a seminar, a live stream. But the main draw, the main card match is Derek Smith versus Tom Nelson.
Right.
Oh yeah.
They'll go last. It's going to be a best of 5 right-handed. And then I have a lot of matches that I think people will be really interested about once I can build some hype up for them.
What are those matches?
First match of the day will be Alan Fisher versus Ricky Ramos.
Okay.
Pretty big match. Ricky Ramos has pulled for a very long time in California. He just recently cut a lot of weight. At like 250 pounds, he's beaten a lot of big names in the California area. But at 165 pounds, he's very unproven. But he's a smaller guy with really big hands and like a long arm. He recently pulled against Alan Fisher left and right in Arizona and lost on both arms.
Okay.
It was close enough to warrant Ricky calling Alan out for this match. And Ricky and Derek are very confident that Ricky takes it. But me, as a disciple of Alan Fisher, I think if you give Alan any motivation to train for a match, you can't count him out. He's a wild card. The thing with Alan is he's older, he's aging, his muscles are just not the same as they once were. But you give him 3 months to prepare for a match, his mind changes. What he does in the day will change because he's constantly doing manual labor type work. So he's always depleted. You see him at a practice, he's not really at his true full strength and power. You give him a money incentive to get ready for something, you're going to see a much different Alan Fisher. So it's hard for me to bet against Alan on that one. Plus, I never would bet against Alan. That's my.
How old is Alan now?
He just turned 65, maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, nice.
So he's
crazy.
I mean, he's already on his way to being 66.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, about Alan Fisher? He's the guy.
He's a
right?
legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you give Alan any reason to train hard, and you're going to see a good version of him. So I'm excited for that one. I won't say my personal predictions on most of these matches just because I want to remain unbiased as the promoter.
Sure.
But I'll say on that one that I do think Alan wins. He's just he's strong enough at this point where he can make a huge comeback if he needs to for anything.
Okay.
So I don't think Ricky Ramos will take him. But I would love to be surprised otherwise. Ricky's a great guy, and it would
So
be
what
cool.
what other matches?
After that, it's going to be a 205 match. So the first one's at 165. The second is at 205. Kenny Hughes versus Dallas Langston.
Oh yeah. Oh, how did I forget about that match? I was so
That's gonna
excited
be
about
huge.
that one. It's a really good match.
In my opinion, it could be a really great match. Kenny is currently ranked number 3 in California at 205. Ole Moise is ranked number 2. But most people believe that Kenny is still very much so in the conversation as a number oneer, even though he's not quite ranked that high. So we're giving Kenny the match. It's going to have a lot of draw, and hopefully Kenny can train hard and come in good form. Because Dallas Langston's been very dominant all over the country, just rising up in the rankings with like pretty much every month and a half. Dallas is doing something huge.
Yeah, I mean, not too long ago, Dallas just beat Brent Rackers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that, but and then Brent Rackers takes second over Wayne Withers and Chris Gellings and Doug Allen.
So Dallas beats all those guys.
Yeah, so I think Dallas has too much for Kenny, personally. On the right side, I think on the left side it could be really close, but we'll see. It's Kenny Hughes. He was supposed to be the greatest of all time. He won Worlds at what, like 16?
Yeah, he was the Wonder Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at 15 years old, like dominates Alan Fisher. Like when you look at Kenny's track record from like his early years to even even maybe stuff he did in the last 10 years, I mean, it's huge. Like, he's accomplished quite a lot. You can't count him out. He's crafty. He's got all the skills. Could be a very good match.
Yep.
And then, in addition to that one, then we go into. I really don't want to forget any matches right now. I'll try not to. Hoffman.
Yeah.
So at 245
Jonathan Hoffman.
pounds, we'll have a decider match. The rankings in California are new, and they're currently at 232. But this one's going to be, for my tournament, we're going to have them cut down to 245, because they're both heavier set guys.
Hoffman and Mega Mike.
They're going to cut down to 245 to decide who is the best in California at 245. Hoffman is he's got quite the accolades. He's beaten a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a multiple California state champion, so he's proven dominance over the years on both arms.
Mega Mike's newer.
But
he just beat Derek Smith.
Yeah, Mega Mike is literally like 2 months into the sport. Had a great win on Derek Smith, even though everyone in California is convinced that Derek beats Mega Mike in a super match. That's why Derek has to be the guy to go up against Tom. But you can't take anything away from Mega Mike. He's still right there. In another year or another 2 years, he's probably the best in California. If Derek doesn't, Derek is leveling up all the time, but if Derek doesn't be careful, his protege Mega Mike will surpass him. He's just got so much potential.
So what's that guy's deal? Was he like a power lifter or something, or what?
He's not. He just has large, explosive tendons that have conditioned for wrestling very quickly.
It's impressive.
So he wasn't a strength athlete before?
Nope. He's a police officer who's worked out his entire life.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, but honestly, Mega Mike has not always been the most skilled or technical puller. He's had a hard time, I think, developing technique and learning from Derek, just because when you're that strong, it can be challenging. But I've spoke with him recently. I've seen him pull very recently at practices, and he's getting way smarter. Honestly, the technical experience he gained just from his recent tournament was massive. So going up against Hoffman, he's going to need to be smart for sure. With all the power he possesses, it's still going to be hard, because Hoffman is a guy that, even when he first got into the sport, he's always been strong, but he's never used his strength for arm wrestling. He's very much so a speed and style dominant puller, really good execution.
Are they pulling both arms?
Just right arm.
Just right, okay.
Yeah, and they both have incentive to train very hard for the match, so I hope they both come in great form.
Okay, and then what else?
Then we have two very big matches: Tony Tomlinson versus Tom Nelson, left-handed.
I like that one too.
Yeah, I'm honestly very excited for that one. I think Tony has the potential to take it. He just needs to train hard.
How do we know how big Tom is right now? Because I feel like last time I saw him, he wasn't very heavy.
He didn't look too big in the most recent tournament.
230. I hope he comes in at least 250 for these.
Yeah, because Tony's big.
I'm not really monitoring it per se. I might have everyone weigh in the day before if they can, just to garnish up more hype for the day of. But honestly, I will be having the ones that need to weigh in the day before. But it would be cool to get Tom, Tony, and Derek to all weigh in the day before as well, just to see where their weight's at. Because currently, I feel comfortable saying this, currently Tony and Derek both have very different strategies when it comes to weight. Tony actually plans to lose a considerable amount of weight and train very hard, get to his strongest form, and be very lean, so that he has great conditioning and great endurance. Derek plans to just get as massive as possible and really push that size difference.
It's the right approach.
Yeah, it's different approaches, and it makes me more excited, because let's just see which approach pans out. Tony and Derek are very similar on both arms, but Derek has the edge right-handed and Tony has the edge left-handed. So it makes sense, as Tom's coming down to Southern California to prove his dominance in California once and for all. Well, not once and for all, but it's been a while. He's always been considered the number one. And it's just kind of that time to see him prove it again, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's exciting. And it's exciting from the standpoint that we haven't, seen Tom in real true action a whole lot. He had that tournament kind of just to knock off the rust a little bit. But see a nice, big, angry Tom Nelson. Yep, I'll take that. I like
would love
that
to see
any day.
I do hope Tom, like I said, comes in at least 250 pounds because he's always been like an elite 220 guy, and he's done well at that. But he's going to have quite the size disadvantage against both of these guys for sure.
And when is this again?
September 4th, so it's like a week and a half before the IFA World Championships. All of these guys were not planning to go to Worlds, so I feel comfortable in hosting all of them. The only person who is possibly going to be on this match that can't do it because of Worlds is Ole, and he needs to just prioritize Worlds right now. He wants to win a world title in the IFA, so that's his goals right now. I would have loved to have had him on because he is, without a doubt, one of the most elite arm wrestlers in California. So it would have been cool, and he's a good buddy of mine. But I'm pretty happy with the lineup that I have.
Yeah, it sounds great. So are you thinking long term to, kind of make a promotion and have your own promotion, or is it just kind of a one-time deal?
It's not a one-time deal, but it's not something I plan to do very often. I plan to be an influential part of California in terms of events, rankings, just anything, right? Because that's my long-term where I'll be living. I'm already considered by most to be the ambassador of arm wrestling in the San Diego area. Alan Fisher's made me responsible of monitoring and certain positions of like helping with his practice, and I help out with all the other practices of San Diego. I'll go to them, I'll organize things, and I play a pretty crucial role in Southern California, I would say, and I just want to keep doing that. Honestly, as a fan of Derek and a fan of all these guys, I just want to see some really good matches. I know Derek for a long time has wanted an opportunity to pull Tom, so to me, I'm just making that happen.
Yeah. What did so speaking of Derek, I just wanted to hit the side note while we were on Derek. Did you guys watch the Neil podcast where he talked to Derek about pulling Lachlan?
No, I didn't.
I heard of
talked
it.
to Derek about
I honestly forgot about that. I was talking to Derek about that, I think, as well, but I forgot to tune in for that. I've just had a very busy time recently, but
Well, it from my understanding was that Derek pretty much said, "Yeah, let's do it."
yeah.
Now it sounds like Lachlan is not interested.
Yeah, so what Derek told me, I don't know if this is public information, but I don't really care. What Derek told me is the reason that Lachlan is like sort of not fully committing is because he has the same thing that Canada does, as in when he returns to Australia, he has to stay in a hotel that he has to pay for 2 weeks, and he doesn't want to be away from his kid for that long because he just had a baby. So that's kind of why there's an issue with Derek and Lachlan pulling. But Neil and Derek are already talking about a new match, potentially if Lachlan's not able to make it. So hopefully Lachlan can, but if not, there might be a backup, which in my opinion is way more exciting than Lachlan. And I don't know if that's public already yet either, but I don't want to be the one.
I haven't heard anything. I didn't hear anything other than Lachlan was maybe not interested. So
yeah.
We'll see. But believe me, those lockdown BS hospital or hotel things are legitly the worst.
Yeah,
it's going to cost.
Sure they are.
If I come back to Canada from the U.S. right now, I'm talking minimum $2,000.
Yeah,
minimum.
That's not worth it.
Yeah, that's
hard.
Unless Neil wants to shell out the cash for Lachlan, right?
So it sounds like you're most likely not coming to King of California.
Well, interestingly enough, supposedly the Canadian and U.S. government potentially looking at the beginning of August for easing the border restrictions. If it's going to be contingent upon like the numbers and if you've got a vaccine or not. But I will tell you, I am hoping to travel somewhere before I go pull at Arm Wars.
Which is October?
October 1st, yeah.
Okay, and Daniel Yurick said it is public information. Neil announced it yesterday. So it's Tobias Sperung. from Sweden.
Oh, that's a great match.
It's an awesome match because Tobias is a large man. He took second left-handed to Siliev at Zloty Tur.
Yeah.
And I think he took third place right-handed at 22 or 23 years old. I mean, Tobias is the real deal, and he definitely needs a big match, in my opinion. He's earned it.
Yeah, he does great. Every time I see his name come up, he's doing awesome.
Yeah, so
and I think both those guys could really benefit from that and getting that exposure too. Because I think this is the other thing with a lot of these matches, having these super matches now in the day of us doing what we're doing online. Like, this is the way forward, right? Like, I didn't know hardly anything about you, Chance. And then all of a sudden, like, I see your freaking face smashing people every other weekend, and I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention to this guy now, and the rest is history.
Yeah, that was the goal of traveling every weekend. I didn't do it just for fun, because although arm wrestling is a ton of fun, I don't know if you've ever traveled every single weekend. It is so exhausting. Like, you work Monday through Friday, you fly out Friday night, you compete Saturday, you fly Sunday, you have no time to do anything. So my goal in doing so was to go out and put my name out there and kind of prove myself, and I hope it's worked out. But not everyone has the job that allows it, the means, whatever the case may be. So for people like Derek, for people like Tobias, and many others, having big matches like Neil is putting on is huge for them. Yeah. So
I'm 100%.
Who's the card now?
So if it's Derek and Tobias, and then it'll be me versus David Bradford. It will be a battleground, lightweight battleground with Jeff Hale. This is all from Neil's podcast the other day. So Jeff Hale, Mindaugas, Tom Holland, and I think Giannis.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like a powerhouse battleground.
Yeah.
And then it was unclear if there's going to be a separate battleground for middleweights or like in the 200-pound, but like Bowen is going against
Coach Ray?
Nope.
No?
Totally different guy, and I totally forgot his name.
From
yeah, good question. I definitely know the guy. I just totally forgot his name. Coach Ray will have a match, but wasn't clear as to who. Paul Lynn going against Adrian O'Dwyer from the UK.
Okay. Adrian, I used to see his posts on Facebook all the time, his training stuff. He looks so well conditioned, but it doesn't seem like he's really got out there much.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Tube Karcher says Bowen versus Stoic Bogdan.
Oh, okay.
So it was supposed to be Nonestad originally, but then I guess they decided that there's going to be too much of a size difference because Bowen is apparently going to get massive now.
Yeah, that's what he messaged me. Yeah.
So we'll see. I see he's eating lots of meat.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how big.
He's not telling me, but telling Chance about that.
Yeah. He's eating 3 pounds of meat a day or whatever it is.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're gonna get big, I guess that's part of the way you do it.
I have to do something somewhat similar pretty soon if I want to come in a big form.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So, and then any other matches?
And Sasho versus RVJ is the headliner.
Yeah, that's the match I'm excited for.
Yeah, that's the big one.
That being said, the lightweight sounds awesome to me.
Yeah,
Jeff,
that battleground,
Mindaugas,
ridiculous.
Giannis and Tom Holland, that's a crazy card.
Yeah, you don't
Very
see
crazy.
Giannis compete too much right now. He's just been in hard training mode, and Giannis is very much so revered as the best for lightweights. So it'd be fun to see how he's doing and just where his strength is at right now.
Yeah. Now, have Jeff and Tom Holland pulled? Was that the match that happened in WAL where Jeff won, or was that Tom Holland and someone else? I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna search it. Yeah. Tom Holland. Yeah, I definitely have to type in arm wrestling, don't I?
Not Spider-Man.
Yeah. You're gonna get a lot of Spider-Man.
It was Giannis that beat Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And Jeff
yeah.
Maybe.
No, did Jeff Hale?
No, Tom ended up winning winning this.
Yeah, he did because he
Did
beats
he?
Jamie.
He beat
Okay,
Jeff
it's
Hale
2-2,
2-2.
3-2.
Yeah, so Jeff Hale
Hale.
beat Tom Holland 3-2.
3-2. But it was like wars, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And Tom is like, I don't know. He's like an alien or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like in like the ARM PR shows, he's lifting as much as guys who weigh 2 to 3 times as much as
it's
him.
ridiculous. All of his lifts are stronger than mine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm just like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, and it looks like Giannis beat Tom 3-0.
So
in
Giannis
20.
had complete control in that match.
So I would assume the favorite would be either Giannis or Mindaugas.
Yes,
But
I would agree
Mindaugas,
that those would be the favorites.
Literally is dominant on most people. So.
Both Tom and Jeff have the tools to screw up someone's day.
Yes.
Yeah, so-
A lot of that will be dictated about how it's gonna go down, right? Like who goes against who first, what the situation is. That can really change that lineup pretty significantly.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I would have to bet on Mindaugas probably.
Same.
I mean, it's hard to go against him.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty much similar, right? Giannis is the one that's always training hard. He's a natural, just an absolute phenomenon. Then you have Mindaugas, who's one of the smartest, most technical pullers in the lightweights. I've seen a lot of their matches, I think, because they've definitely pulled.
Have they?
I think so. I feel like I've seen a lot of their matches, but maybe I haven't. So they're somewhat similar, I would say.
I have to look it up now.
They've
'Cause,
both pulled Ingen Terzi a couple times, haven't they?
I'm not too sure.
They must have pulled.
Yeah, it's not popping up.
I used to watch all the lightweight matches because I actually wanted to be a lightweight arm wrestler. I feel like I've seen them pull, but maybe I haven't.
Toop says Giannis has beaten Mindaugas more times.
Yeah,
Than
that
not.
doesn't surprise me. I mean,
Okay.
they're both like two of the best of all time in the lightweights. There's a lot of lightweight talent on that card.
Yeah.
Wow. So only one super heavyweight match then on that card,
Yeah.
being Derek.
Guess
and
that would
Tobias.
be it, being Derek and
You only
Tobias.
need that one when you have such great other matches.
No. Neil needs to give me a call.
Mm,
Neil needs to give me a call.
when is it?
Talk to me.
October, right?
October?
October what? 10th?
Mm.
Something like that.
No, it's like the 1st through the 3rd, I think.
1st through the 3rd.
You could probably clear up your schedule for that.
I might be able to make it work, but I might actually that weekend I might be booked already with something worth not canceling. So.
Well, I was completely ready to go to IFA Worlds, but obviously, I mean, for me, it's like there's going to be another Worlds another year.
That's only what
Arm
2
Wars.
weeks away.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks in between, and Arm Wars invitations to me are like, gold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's going to be it.
I wish Neil would have asked me to pull anybody but Derek Smith.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
See, Chance is in a mindset where he thinks him and Derek are pulling each other just makes no sense. But to fans of the sport, they're both like opposite sides of the country, huge social media presence. Derek, I think, has the larger social media presence, but Chance is the one that's been proving himself every week all over the country. It's a fun, exciting match that will happen eventually.
Yeah, just
So.
not yet, not for me. I don't want to pull Corey. I don't want to pull Derek. Not until we're beating the top 5 guys.
Right.
Because I mean, so far the top 5 guys have proven that there's quite a gap between 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Or
It's
I guess it's the top 6, being Devin, Dave, Jerry, Michael, Tim, and Todd.
Someone said wait 30 years.
Wait 30 years. Yeah. But
Whenever the money is right? That's the real key,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Climb to the top, wait for the money to be right, wait for WAL to come knocking, or PAL, or Arm Wars, or whatever it is, and then pull the trigger.
Could you imagine Derek Smith versus Chance Shell at like a big PAL event? That'd be
great.
epic. But obviously,
Be
it's
awesome.
not going to happen this year. They're both going to have to build up just a little bit more hype.
Yeah, I
That's
think.
a big one.
Well, I think as we go over the next couple of years, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with these. Define what is a big match.
yeah.
even if you're one of the best arm wrestlers in the world, are you going to get chosen for a big match if you have zero audience awareness, right?
You
If
know,
nobody
honestly, I
knows,
think you don't need the audience awareness, but it'll always be a huge factor.
Mhm.
The only other way to bypass it is if you're at least traveling to the largest events, so that you still appear on other people's social medias, right? You don't
right, that's a
necessarily
key.
need to have your own social media presence, but if you're constantly appearing on like some of the biggest tournaments all over the world or country, yeah, you'll still have relevancy. But if you're not,
Yes,
if
I
you're just
agree.
a guy that's in your garage training really hard, you're gonna fall off, most likely.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is promoters are already starting to only pick people with social medias, such as Larry
Mhm.
Wheels. I mean, Larry
Right.
Wheels is, I mean, I can't speak for him, but I would assume, based off of what he's been doing, he's only interested in having matches that have a big audience because that's where the money
Yeah.
is. As a promoter, you have to be able to make your money back at a minimum or make some money, or
Yeah.
you're not going to continue doing it. It just doesn't make sense. So where's the money? It's in the audience. Well, who has the biggest audience? And that's kind of where you gravitate towards, I would imagine. Yeah.
And that's the way it, at least on the big boys, for the big boys, the Larrys and the PALs and the WALs, that's like they're not going to really have much of a choice,
Yeah.
right? Unless they
Now-
figure out a better way to start getting people to know who the pullers are through other means somehow. I don't know.
I think PAL is the only organization that's been successful with that because everyone knew who Levon was before Levon had his own social media presence. Because Igor, PAL, Eastern Europeans promoted him so well.
He's basically like the Ivan Drago, right?
Right.
Just silent, just killing people left and right.
Yeah.
And, that was enough.
And as far as I know, Vitaly doesn't have social media either.
Well, he has an Instagram that he posts on, but that's all I know.
Yeah, but he's not putting
Yeah.
out YouTube content and all this like Levon is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree with you. You do have, I think you're going to need a social media, but PAL might be the only time that there's an exception because they do so good at marketing their own guys anyways. And their target audience in Eastern Europe, I feel like arm wrestling is much more connected with the general public than it is here. So it's easier for them to market it to the general public. Where here, I mean, nobody really knows about arm wrestling, unfortunately, at this point in time. So just having a good arm wrestler isn't going to be enough.
Agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why guys like you are getting Arm Wars invitations. Do you think that you would have gotten an Arm Wars invitation had you not been a social media? Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. Like, what would it even be based on? I've only been able to pull like 2 times in the last year and a half, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like there's just no opportunity. But so that this is my whole thing. It's like, look, this is proof. Uncle John is actual literal proof that you can advance your career in the worst possible time and situation of not being able to arm wrestle at all. And I'm 10 times more popular now than I was, 2 years ago before all this nonsense started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Just-
Well,
And
yeah.
I mean,
how long
don't get me
were you on
wrong.
YouTube?
I was on YouTube for about 4 months before the lockdown started.
Okay, because I do remember your WAL prediction video.
Yeah, that was like the
video
first.
I saw.
It was like one of the first things I ever did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was around the beginning. So you haven't been on social media very
No.
long in
Not at
comparison
all,
to
because-
some others.
So I arm wrestle. I've been arm wrestling for 10 years, but I was like, I pulled a lot the first 3 years, and I moved to Canada, and then I've lived in Canada for like the last 8 years now, right? In Atlantic Canada. So I haven't gone outside of that a ton other than for Canadian Nationals. Now I've won a national title. I've got 5th place at the Arnold's 1 year. So like there's some things I've done, but there was also like 2-year-long breaks because I went to get my master's and I was doing my PhD. So there's these big gaps in the middle of everything too. So it's been hard for me to put anything together, but I think the thing I have going for me is, yes, the last 2 years I've trained harder than I've ever trained before for arm wrestling. and I lost 120 pounds, right? So there's this story, right? There's a whole happening that's going along with it. So now the for me, cherry on top is going to be to say, okay, everyone, you've been listening to me flap my gums for the entire period of COVID. Now I'm going to show you, right, what a 200-pound freakazoid Uncle John can do, and that's going to happen at Arm Wars, right?
Yeah.
So
Who's been maxing out almost every week on different PRs?
oh God. Well, that's the big secret. Like those PRs, that's the only time I've ever been maxed out in my life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like a super high repetition type. Like 10 reps is pretty low for me most of the time because my body tends to just be like, oh, you did 3 reps, you're hurt for a week now.
I feel your pain on that. I've had very many injuries over the years since I started pulling as an early teenager. I was on such a great track record this year, and then through tons of travel and just overtraining, I just overdid it. But I expect to make a full recovery by every metric and dominate the IFA Worlds.
Nice.
Yeah, I hope you do. I feel like
why I came out
injuries have to be genetic or something because
To a degree,
I have never dealt with any serious arm wrestling injuries in my right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
I've been on the table a ton, as you know. I don't warm up. I max out every week when I'm in the gym, and I've never had any serious injuries.
Well, it must be nice.
It must be.
I'm not trying to brag or something, but we were just talking about it before. I think it has to do with genetics.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, I was at the WAL Vegas regional qualifiers in 2015, and fractured my elbow in my very first left-handed match, right? The tendon just ripped a part of the elbow right off, and that was it. It was done. What's that?
Avulsion fracture?
I don't know what you call it, but like whatever
a piece of
grabs
tendon,
on.
a piece of tendon pulls your
pulled
chunk
off.
of bone out.
Yeah,
avulsion
that's what
fracture.
it was.
Yeah.
That was really annoying. That was the beginning of a year layoff.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do it. Was like this tiny little thing. But I'm like, okay, doc, what can you do? You reattach it? They're like, no, it'll just work itself out.
Yeah, you're just supposed to rest it. My roommate actually was arm wrestling in a McDonald's. He got cocky. He had someone here, and he turned away and he started talking, and avulsion fracture. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And now his arm doesn't extend past like here because the way it
Well,
healed.
yeah.
So,
some people would pay for that.
but he's not an arm wrestler, so for him it's terrible. Right?
Yeah, no doubt about that.
As a normal
but yeah,
guy, it's terrible.
I'm a lot better off now. But like I had a whatever they call it. They squirted this liquid into my wrist, and then they gave it like a scan.
Cortisol shot? Oh
no, just like so they could see everything in there, and like the liquid like illuminates your wrist in some kind of machine, right? And they're like, every single bone in your wrist has multiple fractures that are healed and old. Right?
Wow.
So like my wrists, because my wrists were just hurting so bad. And then one got really, really bad. I couldn't even open like a doorknob. And they're like, oh, well, you have one actual fracture and then all these other ones. So stop what you're doing. I said, haha, okay, well.
Yeah, not gonna
Good
happen.
Good talking, Doc.
Yeah. I need to get that done. I've had left wrist injuries since my very first time arm wrestling. But it's only been right here, never anywhere else.
I think the only injury chances ever somewhat discussed with me on his right arm was he had slight, like, acute pain, I think, in his hand when he was prepping for Dustin Allen.
Yeah.
And it went away right before that match, and then you dominated the match.
Yeah.
So his injuries are small and far between.
Yeah, but I do deal with, and I think most arm wrestlers deal with this. My hands just fall asleep all the time. If I'm holding something for too long, like I can't feel it anymore. I have to let go and like get some blood in my wrist. But
that would be described as carpal tunnel.
Yeah, I feel like that's
most
typical.
arm wrestlers adapt to carpal tunnel and they just don't realize they have it. Because I've had carpal tunnel since I was 15 years old, and the stingy feeling in the hands does not bother me at all anymore. Because when I was 15, my hands used to like forcibly clench, or like I would have to like open up my fingers. Like this was a trial period for me, because eventually all of those issues went away.
Yeah.
It just took time.
But anyways, we were only going to come on here and chat for an hour. So
Yeah, we're starving.
Is there anything you want to talk about at the end of this?
No, not really. I mean, I'm just really excited for the stupid restrictions to come down, because then I can come and hang out with you guys and pull around a little bit.
You have to come
I'm
down
having
to
this.
Florida.
Yeah,
I really
come
want
down
to.
While I'm here, I'll be here for the next 2 months or so. I'd love to pull with you and film content with you.
Well, my thing is now, like, I've been training so hard, but I have like zero data. Like, is this training working? Well,
Yeah.
guess what? I don't know, because I've not arm wrestled anyone in 3 months now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think Chance could really help you prepare for your Arm Wars match. Just
And that's a big part of what I want to do, for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, if restrictions let up, you definitely have to let me know. In the meantime, you can have your wife grab with 2 arms and yank on you and see if that
Yeah.
does anything.
Right now it's just bands, stretch, hold, doing these things over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm up to about 250 to 350 pull-ups a day, like maybe 4 days a week.
250 pull-ups
So,
a day?
yeah, I love
I
pull-ups.
actually used to do something similar to that, but not quite that extreme.
How many reps
So-
typically?
Right, so here it is. I have 5 different pull-up styles. So I have neutral close, neutral far away, then neutral close with fat grips, neutral far away with fat grips, and then I go to the side of my power rack. I put my hand like this on the bar, so both hands are like that, and then just pulling up just with that finger containment.
Yeah, so 50.
So I do that.
So 50 of each.
So I do sets of everything, and I just rotate through them at like 15 reps
You
per
do
set, and I just
of each one
I
and
can-
rotate through the whole thing.
15 to start. It
You
usually
just
ends
need
up
to
going
sit-
down to like
you need
10.
to sit
So
on the
strong.
arm wrestling table and just get that conditioning back. You're gonna crush your
Yeah.
Arm Wars match.
Yeah, like
That's-
I've been going nuts with
Yeah,
the
that's-
pull because
that's
I could
awesome.
never do
I
more
wish I
than
was doing
one.
that.
I can
Could
only
never
do
do
like
more
2
than one.
pull-ups. So
Oh, Luke, come
I'm
down
jealous.
to 200 pounds,
Yeah,
and then you'll
maybe.
be like, boom, boom, boom.
I was doing 15 pull-ups at 210 before my injuries, and now I can do maybe 6 or 7. But it's like the most painful thing in the world. I don't even want to do
Yeah.
pull-ups because my lat injuries and my rotator injuries in my shoulder, everything hurts in that motion. So I'll just stick to dumbbells and try to get blood in the injured area.
but
Yeah. I
well,
hear you.
anyways, John, I appreciate you coming on and talking with us
Yeah.
for our first
Awesome times.
show. It was kind of just a last minute thing, but we're gonna start doing it every Monday. So hopefully we'll see you on the show again.
Anytime.
Next week we're gonna have Krasimir on here.
Yep.
So
Nice.
Next Monday, same time. It should be a good talk. We're gonna talk to him about his upcoming match with Vitali. Really excited for
Yes.
that. But
Very good. That's going to be great.
all right. Well, anyways, thanks everyone for stopping by, and I'll see you next week.